Now, earlier this morning, President Biden unveiled his plan to fight inflation. He authored an op-ed piece in the Wall Street Journal. There it is. He laid out 3 points. Basically, number one, he won't interfere with the Fed. Number two, he'll make things more affordable for families. And three, he will lower the deficit by taxing companies and billionaires. Larry Kudlow with us this Tuesday morning. Will that work? Is that a real inflation-fighting plan?
No, it's not an inflation-fighting plan, although I'll give some credit. If he leaves the Fed alone, the Fed's got a lot of tough work to do. That's fine. He takes a cheap shot at Trump, of course, as he always does. Trump objected to Fed tightening in 2018 for rate hikes when the inflation rate was less than 2%.
Yeah.
I mean, I think President Trump was right about that. But then Biden goes on to say the recovery stalled. Well, the recovery hadn't stalled. The recovery was going at 6%. And that's why the stimmy package in March of 2021 was uncalled for and helped launch inflation. And here's my biggest critique. There's no effort here, no discussion whatsoever, to freeze federal spending, at least domestic spending, which is something they've got to do if they want to stop inflation. In fact, he talks about, child care allowances and elderly allowances. He wants more spending, which is going to make the problem worse. He takes pride in the deficit reduction. The deficit reduction this year is about running off the emergency programs, high inflated revenues. And by the way, the Trump tax cuts have stimulated corporate tax revenues enormously. So that's not going to work either. And then the other stuff is, look, spending as a share of GDP, according to the latest CBO reports is above the 50-year average, 23% of GDP. The debt to GDP is going to be 110% at the end of the 10-year window. So there's no budget restraint. At the heart of this plan, there's a movement towards a green economy, a fossil fuel, fossil-free economy. That's what he's trying to predict. That's his word, transition. We're going to transition to slow growth, he says. Well, yeah, we're going to transition to a permanent recession, in my view, if we have something called a fossil-free economy. He wants his green economy. He wants more subsidies and tax credits for greenies. That's not going to curb inflation. That's going to increase inflation, and it's going to slam down growth.
Just a couple of minutes ago, I was talking to our colleague, Stephen Moore. I asked him, are we going to get 10% consumer price inflation this summer? He said, probably not. It was sort of 6, 7, 8%. What do you say? 10% in consumer price inflation this summer?
Well, look, I think the range of inflation is 6, 7, or 8%. I think that's about right. Sounds like Steve got it right. That's 3 to 4 times the Fed's 2% target. I was very interested in what Fed Governor Chris Waller had to say, that the Fed's going to have a much more restrictive policy, that their target rate is going to be, so-called above neutral. I mean, look, the Fed's basic measure here looks like it's about 6 or 7%. So, you're talking about a 7 or 8% Fed funds rate. This is going to take several years. The Biden plan does not give any help on producing more oil and gas. They want to stop fossil fuels. That's going to make it worse.
That's at the heart of it.
And there's no freeze. Yes, and there's no freeze on federal spending, and that's going to make it worse. So, to me, his op-ed piece is just more of the same, and we're going to need to have some kind of belt and suspenders approach to the economy and the stock market in the next 5, 6, 7 months. But the cavalry is coming, Stu.
I'll be watching you at 4 o'clock this afternoon for more analysis of this, the plan from the president. Larry, we'll see you later. Thanks a lot, man.
Yes.
Got it?
Thanks.